goes on from there, and he builds. He says, verse 15, he says, because I was confident of this, I wanted to visit you. Confident of what? That he wanted them to get to know him. So we're building here, right? We're just going through the context. He says, because I was confident of what I just said, I wanted to visit you first so that you might benefit twice. I wanted to visit you on my way to Macedonia and to come back to you from Macedonia and then to have you send me on my way to Judea. So he tells them, this was my original plan. So somehow they knew his plan, right? Because they knew he didn't come when he said he would. So he says here, I was very confident, and so I wanted to bless you twice. I wanted to show up twice. He says, I wanted to show up on my way to Macedonia, and I wanted to show up when I returned back from Macedonia, okay? Then he says in verse 17, was I fickle when I intended to do this? Or do I make my plans in a worldly manner, so that in the same breath I say both yes, yes, and no, no? So he asks them a couple rhetorical questions about what they think of him. This is a very good way to communicate in times of conflict. A very good way. The best way, I would say, you can argue, I think it's the best way to ask questions about what people think. I'm not trying to have like a Dr. Phil moment here, but I think one of the most difficult things that we have to do as human beings is communicate. It is so hard. You wouldn't think it's hard, but we're so busted and weird, and we interpret things so bizarrely sometimes, or we say things so weirdly that we don't understand while somebody else doesn't understand us. So Paul starts, and he says, look, I made these plans to visit you on my way and to visit you on my way home. He goes, do you think, when I didn't show up, do you think that I was fickle, meaning I vacillated? I just was like, yeah, maybe I'll come, maybe I won't come. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But I told you that I would. So yes, is that what you think would happen? Do you think I just don't care, is what he's asking them. The next question he asked them, he says, or do I make plans in a worldly manner, so as in the same breath to say both yes, yes, or no, no? This is a little bit more malicious. Not that he's being malicious, but he's asking, do you think I maliciously told you I'm going to show up, yes, yes, but actually, haha, no, no, I'm not going to show up? Like he was putting them on. Like he was just like, get off my back, I'm coming, haha, never mind, and he ghosted them. That's what he's asking them. And so these are rhetorical questions. Why is this a great way to communicate? Because we don't want to just, if we just tell people stuff when they're already weary or not sure about us, does that help? It doesn't help, does it? There's a reason that the YouTube algorithm works the way it does, right? There's a reason the Facebook algorithm works the way it does, because we love to be told what we love to be told. And to hear something outside of what we love to be told, we don't really like. So when you ask a person questions, genuine questions, what you're trying to help people do is to understand twofold, that you understand where they understand where you're coming from, and you understand where they're coming from. So Paul just asked, like, is this really what you thought happened? He's not being sarcastic. He's not being rude. That would not be of the Holy Spirit. He's literally just saying, do you think that, is that what you think of me? That I just fickly did this? Or do you think I maliciously did this? And you hopefully, as a human being, you would stop for a moment. You would consider those questions and say, well, he did spend 18 months with us and start the church. He did turn down any money from the church. Remember, we know that from 1 Corinthians. He said, I didn't take any money from you guys because I knew that you would make an issue of it. So he didn't take any money. So you would be forced to sit down if we took a moment and thought. Took a breath from the emotion, a breath from the big feels, and said, well, who is Paul? Okay, well, he started the church. He didn't take any of our money. He stayed in when we insulted him. He came for a visit multiple times. He always preached that Christ loved us. He always seemed to be looking out for us. But it helps to take a moment and to consider. So when you're in conflict with someone, a fellow church member, in conflict with an ideology, in conflict with an individual, whether it's church or work or whatever, it's so imperative to say, well, hey, can I ask you a question? Yeah, sure, ask me a question. Do you think that I did that maliciously? So when I say, well, I don't know. I mean, you just showed up and you're like, well, I apologize for that. The reason I just kind of rushed by you and didn't shake your hand at church was I just had I had to get to the kids ministry because I was late. And it has nothing personal to do with you. I just was trying to be faithful to the commitment that I made. And then us as an individual can realize that we're not really important. And we can go, oh, that's cool that you wanted to be faithful to something that you said you would do. Or if they just said, you know what, I wasn't in the mood, and I apologize. I just didn't want to be around people. It's why I came to church. Then you can be like, oh, I'm going to do something crazy in this world, something completely wild, and I'm going to not take it personally, and I'm going to move on, right? It's amazing when there's humble communication, when there's questions asked, when motives are revealed, when trust is extended, when knowledge grows. That's where you get relationship. Relationship begets love, a tender care for each other, and that begets a testimony to Christ. So it's really important if we're going to be Jesus followers, Jesus lovers, and human helpers, that we learn how to communicate in ways that we're able to receive and we're able to give information in ways that are going to be God-honoring and non-manipulative, non-aggressive, or passive-aggressive, or those ways that we check ourselves. And that's one of the things in this society today, it runs rampant. I do not check myself. I just say what I feel when I feel it, and that somehow makes me a genuine and a good addition to society. And it's just not true. It's not real. It will leave us alone and alienated if we do that.